Alright, so a little tutorial here on how to use a pen tool, or path tool, and where to place your points, your nodes, and your handles and things like that. So we're going to start out with a circle here, and actually, let me move this line. Okay, where we want to place our points are at the extremes of all of our curves. Okay, so wherever, imagine horizontal or vertical lines approaching our object, wherever they hit the very first point, the outside of the edge of the curve, that's where we're going to place our points with our pen tool. Okay, so there's going to be one here, and we're going to lock it into a horizontal position. Okay, by holding Shift, we want all of our points to be perfectly horizontal or vertical. So not all our points, all our handles like this. We don't want to be doing, okay, we don't want to be trying to do stuff like this, putting this on an angle and like this, okay? I'm going to undo that. First, because we want to use the fewest number of points or nodes as is possible, and that'll give us the smoothest curves, okay? So sometimes this happens. This went a little bit funky on me. I've lost one of my handles here, right? I've got this one, but the other one is not there. I'm not sure exactly why, but that's okay. We can go over here and we can change this to a corner, or we can change it to mirrored handles, which is what I want for this. Okay, and of course, if we were really trying to make a perfect circle, I would use a circle ellipse tool, right? Hold the Shift button to keep it a perfect circle. Okay, of course, that's going to be much better and more precise. Okay, but what we're talking about here is trying to figure out where to place the points. All right, so let's look at some more complex shapes here. Let's go across to this. All right, so with the same idea, this line approaches our shape, and right there, that's where we're going to want to put our handle. So click once down here, Shift, and then up here again. Okay, let's look at something again a little more complex. So this is a whole bunch of these curves. If we think of everything as a circle, I think this helps. Okay, and think of this as like the bottom part of a circle. We're just going to have this one point down here, this point here, right? So let's do that. Get our pen tool again. Top, bottom, Shift, pull it, and then the top, way up here. Okay, this is what I see a lot of people doing stuff like this. Click, 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 right? Again, the fewer number, we're never going to be able to get this a perfect curve. In between each of these points, right, is a separate curve. And every time we make a new point, it's a chance for our curve to be less smooth and precise, okay? So if we want smooth curves, this is how you do it. The top and the bottom of each of our objects here, okay? Let's go on to this one's a little trickier. Okay, we're going to go with the same idea. Let's just look at this for a second, though. So we get these up and down ones, right? We're going to place one here. So just from looking at this object, I know I need one here, I need one here, up at the top, up here, and then again, right here. And then our next point, we're going to put one over here on this side, right? Here's our curve. This is where this is approaching. I don't know, is that the apex of the curve maybe? I don't know if that's the right word. Anyway, we'll see here, Shift. Again, we always want them to be try to get them perfectly horizontal or vertical. Okay, and if something weird happens like this, so we're looking at this going, well, that doesn't look right. No, it doesn't look right. But because I know how I want this done, I know that I can just stretch this handle out. I know I need a point right there, and I know my next one is going to be up here. Okay, and this one's a little bit messed up too. but that's okay. That's why it helps to know this is supposed to go there. I know that that's supposed to go there. All right? And then I can come back and fix those. And the better, as you get a little bit better at it, we get a little trick here to avoid that. Let's try to do that one again. So I'm going to come up to the top here. I'm going to pull this out. And in most programs, you have an option like this. And if I hold the option button on a Mac here, Alt on a PC, I think, you can see I can slide this down, this backwards. So I know that my next curve is not going to be as big as this previous one. So I can do that. And now when I come down here, this is going to be save me an extra step there, right? And there we go. Okay, so now I can go back and fix these up. Okay. If I want this, sorry, this is also just the sub-select pointer. This is pretty standard in these kind of programs, right? Where you've got a pointer that will let you select your object to move it around and resize it and things like that, or rotate it. And then you have some sort of a sub-select tool. Usually it's a white arrow or hollowed out arrow. And that one will let you adjust the individual points here. Okay, and again, I'm not trying to line it up precisely with my hand-drawn curve, because that hand-drawn curve is obviously not super precise, right? But we could tweak this to get it a little closer if we wanted to. Also, usually if you're trying to make smooth curves, we don't want this handle right here to go past the vertical line of this point, you know, typically, right? So if this is this imaginary vertical line here, if I want a smooth curve, I don't want this to go past there. To exaggerate the problem, if it goes past there, you see what's happening, right? Is that this is coming out past our point and coming back, right? So we could bring it right up to the edge of it if we want, or somewhere in between, whatever. Okay, so let's look at this, a little more complex. Again, it's curving down here. So, and that jumped on me. I think maybe one of the disadvantages to using an online program like this, but for being a free app, I'll give a little plug to Gravit Designer here, because it's pretty good for free. You could do just about all the same. You can't do everything you can do in like Illustrator or something, of course, but so this is, we've got some options here. We can come all the way across here, or we could go up to the top of the circle here and then to this side. Okay, depends what we're wanting to do, and we'll go back and fix those after. And again, I'm going to carry on because I know that's where I want those points, right? Let's look at maybe a bit more of an efficient way to do it once we get a little bit more comfortable with what we're doing. Okay, again, I can see right here where this handle is, it's past where my next point. My next point's going to be right here. And if we imagine a vertical line up to here, right, I know I don't want it to go, I don't want to pull it past there. But in order to get the left side where I want it, maybe I do want to pull it past there. I don't know, right? So if I did, let's pull this out like that. And then again, option to bring this back in. Okay, and then I can click down here. And so here, if this is curving up, okay, I'm going to have one down here. And I'm going to modify this a little bit from my drawing, and I'm going to have this rise up here a little bit. And if it's curving, now if this is curving this way and going up, then my next point will be up here, right? But if I want it to curve down and follow this outside shape a little more closely, then I would want to put another one down here. Okay. Okay, let's go back to our pointer tool, and then we can come back and tweak these things, right? This one we want longer. And this one, and we can see over here, I made this a point, came back the other direction. And on this one, this is a regular curve here, right? So what I'm going to need to do to get a point out of that is convert this point. You can do this in a lot of different ways in different programs. But let's just go over here and do it like this. I can make this a corner point here. Okay, and then I've got some options here. I can either bring this one down lower. Oops. This one definitely needs to be fixed, right? Again, you can see when I went above this line, that starts to look a little bit funky, right? Okay, so that looks a little bit better. I could also, on this point, make these points disconnected like this so that they don't mirror each other, right? If I wanted a little more control over where this is going. And this is kind of one of those times where this one is not perfectly horizontal, although it could be, right? I could bring both of these like this. But once in a while, you might want to change from that. But that's the idea, anyway. All right, let's check out this one. So if I started out up here, and as this line is curving away, if it's going to continue moving away from me, then my next point is going to be down here. If it starts curving back this direction, then I'm going to need one on the outside edge, right? So the drawing is, you got to kind of make a decision of how close you want to make it to the original drawing. We'll go back and fix that point. Again, this looks like it's high up here and then it kind of wobbles. But if we want a smooth curve, figure out where you want the highest point to be, right? So this option, bring this back in. And I'm just going to click, make that a point, and bring it back this way. Just tiny. So let's do this. There we go. And I'm going to make this a little bit higher. That kind of jumped up on me there, but we can move it down after. Over here, down at the bottom. And let's go all the way up here. And I'm going to have to fix that one. I should have elongated that one like this, right? I should have done that on this previous point here, but I just wasn't planning ahead enough. And same thing, this one's too long now, right? So I can either make my shape longer. You can see if I make this point over here, this curve looks a little smoother. Whereas if I place it here, it's going to be coming backwards, right? So let's just keep it there for now, though. So here again, we've got this really long curve, okay? And we may or may not need to put something in the middle there. Let's try this, though. And whoa, that one went way off, right? This down here someplace. And again, I wasn't planning ahead there because I should have pulled that note out a little bit longer. I think because I'm zoomed in too close here, it's a little bit hard to see the entire shape here. All right, and so here, I'm going to make this curve in like this, okay? Because it kind of does. It's going to decide to do that, so I'm going to bring it back this way. Same thing here. I'm going to have it curve down again a little bit. All right, switch over this to kind of tweak our curves. And again, this is going to come down to how accurate you want it to be to your original drawing that you've got, right? You want to sacrifice some of the kind of easier, smoother curves in order to make it more like the drawing. Or are you okay with it being a little bit off from your original drawing, right? So as you can see, we can get a pretty, I mean, you can get a really precise if you want to, and still do it this way. I'm just not super hung up on it for this demo here. Okay. All right. I think that's pretty good. All right, pretty happy with that.